we'll come up with a nice takeaway, hopefully for all of us as well. But these words are dedicated to one of the newest members in the IDF, my nephew, Ari Schwartz. So Ari, they tell over that when Rav Aaron Lichtenstein, Zecher Tzadik B'Bracha, would come to visit his father-in-law, the Rav, he would bring to him many shilas, many questions from his Talmidim, and most of his Talmidim, if not all, were serving at some point in time within the IDF. So one time he brought to his father-in-law the following question. The question was from someone who was in tanks, and he had been working the entire day, and being part of the tank, brigade or division, the tank division. It's when you're doing that type of work, your clothing get a lot of grime and a lot of grease and so on and so forth. So he had asked the shaila to Rav Aaron Lichtenstein, which Rav Aaron brought to his father-in-law, the Rav, did he have to actually change out of what he was wearing before davening mincha? So the Rav looked bewildered and had this, very surprised look on his face. When he responded to his son-in-law, he said, change his clothing. He's wearing Bigdei Kodesh. He's wearing holy clothing. So that's, in terms of anyone who serves in the IDF, that's something to really think about in terms of what they're doing for all of us, for those in Eretz Yisrael, and for us here outside of Eretz Yisrael, and how they protect us. And Kadosh Baruch Hu should continue to watch over all of them. Amen. So, thinking about that, another thing Ari probably received, and actually he knows this individual very well. Rabbi Rimon, many years ago, put together, it's actually 2 volumes for the chayalim, for the soldiers, halacha, all the halachot, all the various laws that they need to know within being part of being a soldier. So I thought it would be very apropos if we looked at one particular halacha, and maybe actually, I don't know where Ari is located right now, if it's something that actually came up as an actual shiloh for him. And that is when... I'm sorry?
Chadera.
It's not a secret mission.
Chadera.
Okay, so Chadera, but I don't know if he was located actually in the field. So Rabbi Rimon talks about if a soldier is actually in the field, is he obligated to light Chanukah candles? Is he obligated to light Chanukah candles if he's in the field? So he brings down, Rabbi Rimon quotes from the Gemara, actually from Tosfos, in Sukkah, Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph. He brings up the following. He says the following here from Tosfos. He says that someone that sees the candles, the Ner Shel Chanukah, Tzarich Levarech. They need to make a bracha. While with Sha'ar mitzvot, with other type of mitzvot, and he quotes here, he says Tosfos brings like a lulav as well as a sukkah. Chazal did not mitaken that one would have to make a bracha for seeing those mitzvot. Only gabe ner, only by a ner. And then he continues, and this is what Rabbi Rimon, after the first part. So the first thing that Tosfos says is ner Chanukah mishum chavivut hanes, because of how beloved, how special the nes is. That's the first reason that Tosfos gives, that one would make a bracha for seeing the candles. But the next part is what Rabbi Rimon uses as his jumping off point to discuss this question for a soldier. And what does Tosfos say? The gam mishum sheish kama b'nei adam she'en lahem batim. There are many people that may not have a house, okay? V'ein bi'adam l'kayem hamitzvah, and they won't be able to keep the mitzvah. So that would seem to imply that one needs a bayit, that one needs actually a house to fulfill the mitzvah. So for the Devar Halacha part of this, Rabbi Rimon goes on to say as follows, that if they're in the field, they're truly in the field, and they don't have the option of, he says the typical, let's say, tent that they have will not be something that would be considered a bayit, so they wouldn't be able to light there. But he did say that, let's say they have a large tent, a very large tent, for example, and that's like the cheder ochel, where they eat their food. That could be a place where they would be able to light. And of course, if they're on an actual base where there is some housing that makes it, available, then of course they can light there. But he concludes with, in terms of this part of it, is that if they are in an area outside and there is no other option, and they really want to light, they can light, and most say not to make a bracha. But if they made a bracha, Rabbi Rimon says yesh l'smoch. There's those to rely upon. But so that's the first part, just in terms of the Devar Halacha. But I wanted to come back to the first part of what Tosfos says, is in terms of why that someone, because this is very unusual, for seeing the mitzvah to be able to make a bracha. And what's the bracha that one would make? If it was the first night, you'd actually make two blessings. You would say Shas and Nisim, and you'd say Shechian. And then after that, you would just say Shas and Nisim. But what's behind this? What was the rationale? What is, when we say Chavivut HaNes, that this Nes was so incredible, so beloved, that we would actually go ahead, if we're seeing it, to make a bracha. So maybe we could say as follows. That what we're focused at Chanukah, and this is not my own Torah. The first part of this is actually Kedushas Halevi. The Berditscher Rav says that Chanukah is the holiday of seeing. He says that Purim is the holiday of, like, when we read the Megillah. He says that Pesach is tied to with eating the matzah. But he says when it comes to Chanukah is the holiday about seeing. But the seeing that he speaks to is not about, in terms of actually what we physically are capable of seeing. The holiday of Chanukah and the miracle of Chanukah, and that's why the Nes is so beloved to us, and so special and so precious, is to be able to see things that maybe physically we don't see right now. Let me give you an example. Okay, we're sitting here in this room, in this dining room. Okay, we have all these chairs, we have a table, we have a break front, so on and so forth. If I was to turn the lights out and you weren't familiar with this room, okay, and it was pitch black in this room, you would say to me afterwards, you don't really know what's in there. Maybe you would assume there's a table, maybe you would assume there were chairs. Then I turn the light on, okay, and you see this table, the chairs, the break front. So what happens in terms of your reality, okay, how your reality can change from what you thought originally. When you were there just and it was darkness, you didn't see anything. But then the light comes and everything that's there that you didn't even can imagine could be there. And perhaps we could say, we think about what did the Yevanim do. We know that they brought darkness to the world. That's what, when you say that they represented Choshech. Why did they represent darkness? Because they wanted to, in terms of take away the light of godliness from the world. That's what they were after. They weren't after to exterminate the Jewish people, okay, to annihilate the Jewish people. They just didn't want us to be connected, to have this relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So maybe on a deeper level, we can say as follows, that what Chanukah is about is to be able to see, beyond the surface, to be able to take the dreams that we might have, okay, that we may think of the Maccabean for a moment, okay? Do you think that they were thinking about as follows, that they were just a few men, okay? If they were thinking that they were a few men against what they were up against, okay, no way would they have taken the next steps that they did. But they had the courage. They created a new reality for themselves to not look at it like we're just this band of a few individuals. We have God with us, and we can overtake the Yevanim. And what you see from that, and yes, clearly that's on a much grander, when you're thinking about it, in looking in that fashion. But you could take everyday things. And I was thinking actually now back to Ari. When he made the decision to make Aliyah, and he made the decision to go to Technion, there are other options that he could have taken. This was not an easy thing to do. To be able now to make a decision to go where you're going to have to speak in Hebrew all the time in terms of the subjects, and he made that decision early on, and to take and make that decision also knowing going in that most likely he was going to go in with making Aliyah, to go into the army as well. Tremendous sacrifices. But what Ari did is a great example of changing his reality. He saw, beyond the surface of things. He didn't see, he understood that these challenges, don't get me wrong, it's not that he didn't, figure into the equation, this is going to be challenging. But he saw beyond what those challenges presented. He was able to, in that say, come back to seeing something that, at first, many people would say to him, why are you going to do something like that? How do you feel, in terms of, I have to know now, in terms of to be able to be totally fluent within Hebrew. To know that I'm going to go, after I finish this out, I'm going to go into the army. And I'm going to be in a situation where I have to now fend for myself. I've lived a certain amount of years and all the comforts of being here with my family taking care of me. But he did it. And that, for each of us should be tremendous, chizuk, to think about, to never let our dreams, to never say that we can't accomplish more. And that's something that always we have to keep front and center. Whatever the challenges may be that we might face within our life, it's always to take a step back, just like it started, in terms of with the Maccabean, that they were able to create a new reality for our people. I should add in, during that period of time, when I say a few good men, it's not that the people themselves, most of the people at that period of time with Amei Haaretz, they really were very much more connected with the Yevanim than being connected with the Jewish people. But again, these individuals were able to, they had the ability to now rally everyone together, the people, to create that achdus. And then I want to tie it back to Yosef HaTzadik. Okay, isn't it interesting that always Chanukah comes out during the time that now Yosef is the central figure. Think about Yosef. Yosef also, in terms of what we just read yesterday in the Torah, he could have said, it's all over. I'm going to start a new life. They love me here. I'm matzliach. What do I need? What do I need to go back? What do I need to be connected to my brothers anymore? They hate me. I can now take this road where they love me next week, this coming week, we're going to find that they love, but where it ended this week for us, it was that he was forgotten about. But bottom line, he had the ability to create that new reality, to see beyond what was actually going on at that period of time, and to rise up above it. So that Sihir Ratzon is that we take that message. That's why, as Kedushas Halevi says, it's the holiday of seeing. But again, it's more than just what we can physically see. It's really being able to, those dreams and aspirations that each of us have, never to give up on them. And that the Chanukah is the time, and during, they bring down that the Gedolim would literally sit. They would sit by the Chanukiah and just for, an hour long, just sitting and looking at the lights themselves. I'm sure there was lots of Torah going on in their head as they were looking. But maybe perhaps we can suggest that part of that looking at the light was to, in a sense, to go through that introspection, to go through that, saying to myself, am I achieving? Is there more that I can accomplish? How do I get to, fulfilling my dreams and aspirations? How do I deal with the challenges that I might be facing? Not to despair, to elevate. Use this period of time. Chanukah is the time to elevate oneself, to bring oneself up, to bring one's family up, to bring others up, to lift them. So again, Yasher Koach to Ari, who's really, it's really inspirational in terms of, you really think about it, to do what he did, to make the decision at such an early age, to have such a passion, a passion to make Aliyah, and doing it in a way, again, as really being by himself there, is really tremendous. But he did it because he understands that attribute of being able to see beyond the surface. You hear that we are able to do that each and every day of our lives that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us in this world, so that we can truly make this world a better place, and that very, very soon we can bring the Moshiach, and that we can be together in Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh.
Amen. Amen.